Before I ask for apologies, I want to welcome two new members of the team. Bill Kinnear is with us, and Christopher McNichol is at the table as our new assistant clerk. Stephen Moutry is an apology. Alex Maskey has had to leave. I'm not sure if he's returning. Oh. Apology. And David McElveen was with us in closed session and has had to leave us. So, members, not a lot on the agenda, but page 6 your meeting packs is the one invitation you're to be aware of. It's the launch of the Northern Ireland Human Rights Annual Statement. It's here at Parliament Buildings on Monday week, which is the 14th. It's at 9:30 for 2 hours, and the keynote speaker is Channel 4's Jon Snow. And members are encouraged to contact the organisers directly if they wish to attend what I think will be a popular event. A list of committee current invitations is at page 8. And then we go on to draft minutes. We have a couple to approve. There's the draft of the meeting held on the 26th of November, starting at page 10 in your main pack. And just to note, editorial changes will be made to add in the year, as in 2016, to the motion appearing on page 13. And with that editorial change, are members content to agree the draft minutes of the meeting on the 26th of November? Thank you. And we have draft minutes of the meeting held on Monday, the 30th of November. That's beginning page 9 in tabled papers. Members content to agree the draft minutes of the meeting of the 30th of November? Thank you. Now, we agreed by majority on Monday to support a request from the Department for accelerated passage of the Departments Bill. And during the briefing from junior ministers, they committed to working with us with regard to the consideration of the transfer of functions order. Now, it's likely that the time that we'll be allowed for considering that transfer of functions order will be very tight. So I'm going to suggest it might be prudent at this stage, if we write to the other statutory committees, to seek their views on the proposed functions of the 9 departmental model set out in the Fresh Start document. In other words, let's see if they think the functions are properly and correctly aligned, and that will assist us when we are asked for our considerations as a committee. Content with that approach? Great. Thank you. We agreed at our meeting on the 26th of November to ask the Speaker to issue a Section 44 notice in respect of the information we've been seeking on the scoping exercises and options under consideration for those who fall outside the remit of the current historical and institutional abuse inquiry. Now, since that was agreed, correspondence has been received from the First Minister and Deputy First Minister. And they have, as of yesterday?
Yes.
Yesterday they responded to our letters of the 23rd of October and 12th of November. And I refer you to tabled papers on page 13, where we have a response advising us that it is the intention of FM and DFM to share an options paper with executive colleagues to determine the decision on the way forward. And they're also saying that that options paper will be shared with us following receipt by executive colleagues. Not following a decision by executive colleagues, but following receipt of the options paper by executive colleagues. And finally, they're saying an oral briefing will be provided by officials once that has happened. Any comments, members?
Well, following receipt by executive college, receipt is when you receive the email.
There you go. Yes.
So why don't they send it, a second later? If there's some protocol that the ministers have to get it first. It's just strange. It may be just a bit of an awkward wording. The word in the spirit that it'll be forward to us.
We're working on the assumption.
Thereafter.
We're working on the assumption this letter was signed off after significant perusal. But on the face of it, I would agree that it is strange wording, but
The chair, the key question is when they're going to share
Yes.
it with their executive colleagues as well.
so what I would propose, members, is that we write back confirming the date that is planned for the options paper to be received by executive colleagues, and that the officials will bring an oral briefing at the next scheduled committee meeting immediately following that date, rather than get into some sort of lengthy negotiation about when suits. And that we get a response to those two questions, so we can consider it at our final meeting before Christmas recess, i.e. by next Wednesday. So we want to know, when will executive colleagues be in receipt of the options paper, and will the officials come to us at our next scheduled committee meeting?
Great.
Confirm, how long, on the basis of the correspondence to us, how long has it been since FMDFM confirmed that they had an options paper? Now this letter confirming that they're sending the option paper to the executive.
It's in there somewhere.
It'll be in the,
I know it's for, you don't have to find it now.
Have they confirmed prior to this?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Did they?
I think they confirmed that they had two option papers.
they confirmed after the first that there were a second had been undertaken.
Yeah, two
It's-
scopes, two
Scoping exercises and the options being considered.
It'll just take a minute, Chair.
No problem. We'll come back to that because we've very little else to do. Correspondence summary sheet of correspondence since we last met, page 29. In the absence of that, members, I want to go on to an important issue in terms of the draft forward work programme, and that programme is at page 37 of your main pack. The Committee of Finance and Personnel on the 25th of November questioned DFP officials on the process for the new executive budget, and those officials confirmed a paper circulated to the executive has recommended a single one-year budget for 2016-17 rather than a multi-year budget in order to allow the incoming executive to agree the budget for the remaining years covered by the spending review. And I think actually the Minister made clear in the House this week that there was going to be a single one-year budget for 16-17. One of the consequences of that is that there's going to be a very limited opportunity to consult on the draft budget because of the tight time frame, although there will be some level of engagement with key stakeholders, including Assembly committees. It is, however, expected Assembly committees may need to respond to the draft budgets before Christmas, and that is the issue for us, because we meet for a final time next Wednesday. So, are members content that we seek an urgent briefing from OFMDFN officials on their budget proposals for next week?
Great.
And subject to that, are we content with the proposed forward work programme? Thank you. Okay. It looks... 5th of December 2013, FMDFM, we were told, appointed a senior civil servant to drop a scoping paper in regard to the Magdalen Laundry type institutions to inform them of what potential actions they might be able to take. Ministers are giving serious consideration to the options that have been laid out before deciding the way forward. So, December 13, 2 years ago. September 14, ministers have also tasked officials to undertake a further high-level scoping exercise, which will I say, yeah, okay. So it's a couple of years.
Scoping's been going on there.
Okay, members, any other business anybody wants to raise? There's only one matter of fact arising from that. In your reply to FMDFM respective options, we should ask, and part of me doesn't want to ask this question, is there options paper taken into account recent comments of the chair of the inquiry in relation to that he will be making a recommendation of payments. I don't know if he used the word compensation, reparation, or whatever it was the word he used. Because the point being that you know, this options paper is just. Sorry, this is about Magdalen. This is not about.
Yeah, this is separate.
Yeah.
Well, should we not be writing separately to FM and DFM asking do they have any further comments or any further views in respect of the issue of reparations following the recent comments of Justice Hart?
Can do. I doubt you get an answer, but you can do, yeah.
I think it's reasonable. It's a major development. Alex, maybe not a fair question, but as a former executive minister, just on this question of we can get the options paper after executive colleagues get it. The letter says, we believe this approach of sharing first with executive colleagues, this approach would mirror the approach that was adopted from the outset of the HIA inquiry and would be beneficial given the cross-departmental focus. Do you remember getting advanced to committee?
No, no, I think the sharing with bring this matter to the executive for decision is what they're referring to. I wasn't on the committee, obviously, but I remember I was on the executive. I remember the paper coming to the executive about the options. I think they're trying to be helpful, but why wouldn't they be? To share it with us very quickly after it's shared with executive ministers. That is a model that's different, because they're basically saying to us, we don't know what the decision of the executive might be, but we're prepared to show you what the options that they'll consider might be.
Yeah, I think that is significantly different.
It is.
Yeah.
It could be a very useful precedent, in fact.
Could be the way to go.
Committees could be sort of, you know, in the corner of the executive room when they're discussing executive.
Okay. Anything else, members? If not, we are adjourned until Wednesday the 9th, 2 p.m. here in room 30. Thank you very much.
The Ireland Assembly